Hello, 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 everybody. It's Kate Richburg, and it is Friday. April 9th, and that means it is trunk show time on this Free Tip Friday. Let me get my face up on the screen. There I am, and there you guys are. It's great to have you all here. Gosh, everybody, there's so many people in and jumping in. It's great to have all of you guys there. We have a great show planned for you today. Sorry I wasn't with you on Wednesday. I got my second COVID shot on Tuesday, and I needed a little rest day afterwards, but I'm fine. It was great. Not much of a reaction, just a little general fatigue, but I am back up and at 'em. So we're all good. So I think you guys are really gonna love it today. We have such a treat. Today we've got Kara from Lipstick Ranch here, and we've also got Janice also. So the three of us are going to have a great conversation. I've got some great ideas for you, and one of those ideas includes packing tape. And I know you guys are going to be like, wait, what? Packing tape? You got to stay tuned. It's going to be good. So without further ado, though, I'm going to add into this stream. Let's add Janice in. JP, I got you. How are you?
I'm really great. I'm so excited about this show.
It's going to be fun.
I love Lipstick Ranch since I don't know how many Tucson shows ago, where I saw Kara and her beautiful pendants and charms for the first time, and I was so overwhelmed. I just couldn't buy anything.
We just loved them. Yeah.
This is really a treat for me to be able to do this.
Well, and this was your idea. You're like, let's get that Kara and some of her Lipstick Ranch stuff in, and we thought we'd start big with the trunk show. And Kara and I were chatting. I'm gonna bring her on in just a second. Sorry, I have to hike. I'm always hiking up my business here on air. Let me try and not do that. She keeping it real here on on Free Tip Friday. We chatted a little bit before the broadcast, and she has a great story to share that I don't know if you know her story, but it's going to be great. We're going to share it with everybody. Everyone's going to learn so much from her today. So on that note, Kara, I'm going to add you in. If you're ready, even if you're not ready, I'm going to add you in right here. So here she is. It's great to have you.
I'm honored. Thank you so much.
It's great to have you. Look at all of us, and we've got lots of people watching from all over the world. So not to make you nervous, but it's great to have everybody here. And people are saying, Gerald is saying, I love Kara and the Lipstick Ranch.
Hi, Gerald. I miss you.
And Ruth says, I love my gal Kara, who lives very close to me. Lipstick Ranch is the best. And Kathy said she's already placed her order for all of these gorgeous pieces. So it's great. It's great to have everybody here. Alice says that she sees you at the Colorado Bead Show and she loves your stuff. So you've got some of your fans watching here, which is great. And so I want to start off a little bit. We talked a little bit earlier before the broadcast, and we talked a little bit about the history of your jewelry design history. So why don't we share a little bit about you and share some of your design history with us?
Sure. So I think some of my customers, my longtime customers, know this. But I'm a finance accounting major. Everything that I did before the jewelry industry, any education, formal education, was business. accounting, finance, payroll as a payroll manager for a public company. And my mother was an artist. She was actually commissioned by the White House under the Ford administration. And this was during the 60s. And it was pretty unheard of for even women at that time to be owning their own companies. And she was written up in Ladies' Home Journal and Family Circle. And she made wreaths out of pine cones from Wisconsin and made a business creating art. And she was incredibly successful. And unfortunately for me, she passed away when I was 5. And I think that the art piece was too painful. And that's why I went to business. It was a family thing. We would all get in the car and go and gather up native pods from northern Wisconsin and everything. And so I put all that on a shelf, and I just, I've always loved numbers. I've been a finance gal. And then I had my 2 children and kind of some life events. I went through a not the best divorce, and just kind of hit a wall where I was burnt out. I was burned out on corporate America, and it was just time to kind of do something different. And so I thought, I'm going to start a business. And the first business I started was a candle company. And the rusted iron pendants actually were value added magnets that I used to stick on my candles. And then I sold the candle company, and I've always gotten my visions. I say that my mom has never left me. It's just in a different form. And my greatest accomplishments is when I talk to her. And so how the Lipstick Ranch was born was, I thought, these candle charms would make really cool jewelry pendants. And so I designed 100 pieces, and I write the software. It's a CAD program. And then my husband cuts the pieces, and I rust the metal. And so I had this idea to make these interchangeable, I'm going to say 12 years ago, I started using ball chain, the big, heavy ball chain that it wasn't out there. No, it was, I brought it to Tucson. People weren't sure of it. And then that kind of started the ball chain craze. And it was all around these rusted pieces. We put them on lobster clasps and made an interchangeable collection. And so I started doing finished jewelry and did several markets. I did the Dallas market, Denver, the Oasis show in Phoenix, shows on the East Coast, all with finished jewelry. And it was a program where they got a display piece. And so it was very much an interchangeable charm collection with the rusted pieces. Well, I put the whole thing together, and it just kind of came together seamlessly. And then 2 days before market, I panicked. And I was like, this is junk. Nobody's going to want this. What am I doing? This is crazy. And I thought, no, you know what? I'm just going to see it through. I've already paid my market fees. And I went to market and sold like $30,000 to $35,000 in wholesale jewelry. First time out of the gates. And
wow, that's great.
My kids helping me create jewelry and, making, my daughter still to this day hates dangles, the little, she was like 12 and I had to teach her how to bead wrap. I'm like, okay, we're in a lot of trouble.
Right, you gotta get to work, kid.
And the first market, I met the buyer for the Grand Ole Opry. They kind of kept me in the back of their mind. And if anybody knows, it's so hard to get into the Grand Ole Opry. Like you just, and they saw my line and loved it. And she reached out to me, and I just didn't know. I was so new to this that I thought, oh, this doesn't happen, all the time, whatever. And so I designed a line with guitars for them, cut the pieces and wrote the software. And they picked up, I'm going to say 20 different pieces for, they were at the Ryman Auditorium, the Grand Ole Opry gift shop, and then all of the Gaylord hotels. And so when they would order, I had a ping pong table, and we literally, it was heaping, like you couldn't put another thing, it would just fall off of it. Hundreds and hundreds of pieces of each item. And so that went on for about 5 years.
Wow.
And then I had accumulated such a collection of stuff because create with it. I'd go to a bead show, buy all this stuff. And so there was a local bead show in Denver, and I thought, I need to try to get rid of some of this stuff. I'm not using it. And, but I did take it was the first time that I offered my Lipstick Ranch rusted charms to the public, because I always kept that for my private line. And the bead show was very successful, but more than anything, I loved the creative minded people. They were kind. I wasn't a bottom line number and I think you girls know who do this for a living, creating and selling jewelry. At the end of the day, they love what you create, but you're still a bottom line number. Right. And it has to work in their business model. And so the bead shows, I just loved the people. They were kind. I was inspired to create more. And so through that series of events, then I started the fresh lipstick pendants and then the wax seals. And those are all my original designs. The first one's always made out of metal clay. So I just create metal clay, and then I send it. I have a great caster, and so then he reproduces my designs. So yeah.
How did you come up with the name?
I don't even know. Well, my husband's a rancher. My husband's a dairy farmer, so we own. But then they also grow crops. They crop farm and everything, and so and he rodeoed. So we've always lived a Western lifestyle, and I just love the name. I don't know how. And it's funny because whenever I talk to people, they think I own a brothel. So Lipstick Ranch. And that was a great catching point, because when I would go to the bead shows, people just had to see what it was, because it was like, it wasn't Kara's Bead Shop. It was just, so yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think it's a lesson definitely in branding and in naming, because I know, like when I would see you at shows or whatever, there was a whole look, and it's a whole, you've got the name, you've got the logo, you've got the product, and it all works together. So I think that if you,
that was my mom. That was my mom. That was her from the other side.
Isn't that great?
Because and it really, there's just times like, and unless you can, it's hard to explain it to people, but there are times that my creative juices are so dry, there's nothing there. And then I'll really get quiet and centered and dive into it, and it'll be like taking a sip from a fire hose. And when we decided to do this trunk show, so Janice knows this, I'm back in the corporate world. I actually am working at a fire department. I'm running their payroll and human resources department. And so I'm not doing bead shows anymore. I'm not going to say never. You never say never. Right. But I'm super happy to partner with you guys. You have an amazing company. You have such inspiring videos. And I just, I created for a long time, and I'm tired. And so, and I will still create. I'll create for you guys, but I'm taking a break and just, and again, I'll continue to do new designs, but the whole marketing piece and whatnot, right now I'm doing payroll and human resources. And it's just, my soul needs to rest from creating. And being on the road.
Yeah, being on the road is hard, and I think that this past pandemic year plus now has taught us a lot of different lessons. And it resonates, Cara, when you say that sometimes when you have a creative deficit, that you kind of get quiet with yourself and start to kind of, just kind of let whatever muse that guides you start to, speak to you. And so I think that a lot of us creatives have had to kind of get quiet with ourselves this past year and figure out what works. So it's really inspiring. And I love that your pieces were in the Grand Ole Opry and in the Ryman. As a California girl, we weren't big like country music listeners, but I too grew up on a ranch. I come from kind of that agricultural background. And so I love the aesthetic and the music of America, which is country and western and bluegrass and stuff like that. And the old school. My gran was always singing, she was like, if there's a Jimmy Rogers tune that she didn't know, then then it didn't exist, right? So when I made a pilgrimage to the Ryman Auditorium, it was like, and it used to be a church, but it felt like I was at church there at the Ryman. So, so it's really cool for you to have that kind of history with such a great American institution, for sure. And all of these are made, you manufacture all of these, right? They're all US made. They come right out of your brain.
Yeah, so the rustic pieces we make right here on our ranch in Colorado. And then the pewter pieces, I do have to use a caster for that. I don't have that dialed in, right. but all the first ones, the originals are mine.
Yeah. And so I've got some of these. Let me showcase some of these pieces here. Let me see. Whoops. Why did there we go. For a second, my camera went out. Let me see if I can solo these guys. Bear with me here. There we go. So these are the rustic pendants that you're speaking of, right? It's these guys. And these are an iron base, right, that you rust, and then it has this really cool kind of edging around it. I really love kind of I don't know, maybe it's a shabby chic kind of feeling to them. I don't know if that is even used anymore, but I love them, and they're very sturdy is what
And Kate, I want to point out to your viewers, so those pieces that you have, not all of them, but most of them, that's a different size. That's a smaller size that you guys have than what I carry. And so no one else carries that little piece. So for instance, that heart with the keyhole that you had, they're used to having it in a much bigger size. And this is the smaller one than what they're used to. And right now you guys are the only ones that have that. So if they're thinking, oh, we can, we've seen these before or whatever. And then that jaggedy rusted heart, that's a smaller size, and the hand is a smaller hand. So they're the ones that you have are the old time favorites, but they're in a smaller size, which people are tending to like right now.
Yeah, and they're really, I don't know if you've heard the term neck mess, but when people are layering, a bunch of different necklaces and different, with different things and stuff dangling on them. And I've got a couple of things I'm going to share with people how to actually create with these. But this, from top of the heart down to the tip, it's about 1.25 inches. And if you look on the website, on the trunk show, and the trunk show, you can find it right on our website. If you jump right over to, bear with me here just a second, right at beadshop.com, Karen has a beautiful photo of the trunk show that you just click onto, and you can shop the trunk show there. And we've put in all of the sizes, all of the dimensions. So while you're shopping, you guys get yourself your ruler or your caliper so you'll know exactly what sizes they are. And now that you mention it, Kara, it is true. The ones that I would see in your booth and stuff would always be a little bit bigger. So I'm glad you pointed that out. I love it. Like this heart in hand, I am wild for. I love it. And you can see that again, it shakes out at about 1.5 inches from top to bottom. That's great. What I also really love, and you were talking about your daughter having to do these dangles, I love this right and left heart that you made with the holes for the dangles. I think are really cool. And one of the things that you shared with me, and let's talk about these guys here. I don't know if you can see these well enough on your screen, but you shared something about these coin. I call them kind of coins or medallions. They're really cool. So share what's real special about these guys.
So, well, first off, so the base piece is an old coin. It's the Liberty coin, and as long as you don't reproduce it with the intent to pass it off as a coin, it's fine to
Right.
use. So legally, I
Mhm.
researched that out first. But what I like is it's like a little cup holder there. And so
Mhm.
I like to put resin. So if anybody has been in my booth, I like to put resin in them. But now they have like the glass glitter. And so you can kind of fill that up. And so this piece right here, it's the free love on the back. And those are that was all hand stamped out. And
Looks
then
great.
thanks. So that is probably one of my most favorite pieces. But
Yeah,
then
I
again,
love it.
the cup that you can fill up. This was kind of, we all go through this. We have a stage in our life where, if life's going to teach you lessons, and you can either succumb or you can rise above. And so that was
Right.
cherish all lessons. We all have that heartbreak in life.
Yeah,
But
I just love
that
this one. And
and
that's where the resin pour, and these, the walls on these hearts, the resin pour, especially if you use kind of a self-doming resin, you can get a nice kind of cabochon effect to it for sure.
right.
And this one, I just love little flowers like this, but on the back, on this real center right there, you could fill that with resin or epoxy clay, or
Just
you could
even a
even
little
use that.
pearl. Like
Yeah,
just
a
one of the tiny
pearl,
pearls, glue that in
right,
there. Yeah.
the glue in there. Really, really gorgeous. Then the other thing that I wanted to share, since we were talking about resin, and we don't do a lot of resin here on Bead Shop, but we did some when we did one of our bead retreats. And this is where the packing tape comes in. And I wanted to share this with you guys because I know a lot of you are omnicrafters like I am and like to kind of dabble in different craft media. So if you are using resin with these pieces, so this is a piece of packing tape. And you can see I've got one of your open goddesses, and you're going to talk about this one in a second too, because it has that nice hole in there. But if you were pouring resin for one of these guys, you could use as a backing packing tape like this, and see how I would burnish it down really well, maybe using like an orange wood or a popsicle stick. And then that creates a reservoir for you to pour your resin inside. Then once the resin is cured, you would peel the backing away after 24 hours or however long it takes for your resin. And then you'd have kind of what they call like a plique à jour, which is a backless resin type of effect to it. So all of these things that are open, like this heart for the rustic iron would work. Anything that has like a little opening, you could do that same kind of resin pour to.
Kate, there's a question for Kara from Shelley about the iron pieces.
Oh yeah, I see them here.
They've been coated. Will they corrode?
Yeah. So how are those treated?
Sure. So there's a clear coat. There's a skin safe clear coat. My pendants have been around now for over 10 years. I've never gotten any complaints. Now, this is costume jewelry. So you're not going to wear it in the shower. You're not going to take it to the swimming pool, that kind of a thing. But I've never had any complaints about it. It's done. It's sealed, and it won't corrode anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it is rust underneath, but it's sealed.
It's sealed, yeah. They're really, and you can tell, I can tell that sealant is on there. It's really, really nice. Mm-hmm. So I've got, I'm going to go back to this view here and pull out some of these goddess pendants that you have here. Mm-hmm. This was a favorite of yours, Cara, when you were designing, right? Or designing the piece?
Yeah. So one of the things I have done is I've put, if you have any tendencies to lean towards the, metaphysical, I've done chakra beads. So I've done a line of chakra beads in the colors that dangle from the hole that's kind of in her neck, by her neck there. But with Mother's Day coming up, I think it would also be amazing to do like birthstone colors. And you can just do that even in like crystals or any color bead. So you could turn it more into, a mother's pendant. Or I love rose quartz. It really, I feel like supports the heart. And so you could just do some rose quartz beads dangling. So really as long or as short as you would want.
Yeah, they're really cool. Now I have some, I'm going to pull this camera up just a little bit here. And these are some of my favorites. And of course I pulled out the K. This is your wax seal pendants that have the initials on them. Yep. And to me, these are like a super classic. They're about 3/4 of an inch across. And I grabbed, if you could see my desk, it's crazy here with all this stuff. But we carry this large lobster claw clasp that you guys know that I'm also wild for. But something like this, if you wanted to start to kind of create an interchangeable charm kind of look, you could get jump rings that are kind of large, or you could also, I grabbed some of our Parawire, it's 22 gauge, and this is in the vintage bronze because I like using mixed metals. But you could just I'm going to do just a quick wire wrap here because I have that power. And on Bead Shop, we have a whole bunch of tutorials that you can take a look at and hone your wire wrapping skills. Hang on, my plier got stuck in my tape. What a surprise. I'm just going to bring this around and we'll wire wrap it. I think that mixing these pendants, any of these, but especially these initials, I think you could do like the initials, your husband's initials, your kids' initials, grandkids' initials. I don't know. Maybe it's because my grand was from the South, and I know that, when I travel down South or I go, I always see everyone has a monogram. I love a monogram. So I love having my initials on things.
Yeah.
And sorry, Kara, you go ahead.
So Kate, for those, and I was doing just exactly what you said. And especially again with Mother's Day coming up, and it can be your mom and then your brothers and sisters' initials, and you kind of get that little bit. And I also love to layer the monogram with the birthstone color, just so that makes a great Mother's Day present. And the other thing that for my dog moms out there. People will either they'll make one for them with their initial of their pet, or
I love that.
Put them on dog collars, because that's really big right now is dog jewelry. And so they'll use them for that as well.
And they're very sturdy too, I think. We have another here. I had it out here. I also really love this heart that has the 2 holes. So if I were connecting this, and I actually might need a jump ring that's a little bit larger. Let me see if I have one here. I should have grabbed one, but I could also wire wrap it. But our 7mm jump ring would be, here we go. I've got one right here in my pile of things. And I'm a big fan of mixing metals in my pieces. And I know, Cara, you did that line of jewelry for a long time, right? So what's a tip that you might have as I pull this together? What's a tip that you might have? Because I know a lot of our viewers and a lot of your customers also create lines of finished jewelry. Is there something that comes to mind that you would like to share about being a finished jewelry maker?
I think well, what's worked for me, and it doesn't always work for everybody, but I've always kept it, I've always done, for me, I've done a particular price point where, say, under 40, your finished piece is going to be under $40, $39.95, and work backwards. And I've always chose a targeted audience and then brought it before them and said, they didn't know they needed it, but they needed it.
Right.
And so for a long time, I targeted national parks. And I would create things that spoke to the national parks, whether it be a bear or, depending on where it is, a cactus.
Right.
And so I'm really big into target marketing, where they don't know they need it until you tell them they need it. And then, and if it's a really good product, a quality product, it'll sell itself.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that sometimes as beginning jewelry designers or people that are just starting to kind of hone their line, they're a little all over the place. And I think that's something that you kind of have to go through to come out the other side and find what your look is. But I think that's really sage advice, that you design for a target market and they may not know they need it, but if it fits in that demographic and in that, in that group, it's a home run for sure.
Sure.
There we go. So see, just a little, if you guys can see this, right? Just super simple, super classic, hanging on that big lobster. And then I've been using this a lot lately. This is our wrapped chain, our wrapped link chain. And you guys know what I love about this so much. Let me get the right tool here. Is that it has links that open and close. And so I can just put that right on and then bring it around. And then you could also do something like this. Let's say that I didn't use this heart on this side. I could also use it as a closure. So here's that heart again in copper. And I'm just going to open this chain up. It's going to be short, but you guys will get the idea. Is I could come in. It's fun designing on the fly with a whole bunch of new pieces. It's totally inspiring. That's something that I think inspires me when I'm not sure what I want to make. I can come in and, create with some new things. Always adds a little bit of life. But see how that just goes right into the chain? Oops, my camera is a little off. There we go. There we go. That's better. And then I could just come in and grab that jump ring. Let me open this up here.
I like how you put the pearl with it, because Kara's pieces are rustic. The chain is very nubby with the texture. And then the freshwater pearl just says, like bing, 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 bing,
Yes, smooths it out a little bit. Yeah,
really.
Well, I think that pearls are a no-brainer, right? Even with the two hearts, it's kind of fun, right? I love it. So I think those all work. So yeah, initials. Get yourself an initial.
I'm getting some, I don't know what it is, feedback. Does anyone else have that problem?
Oh, I don't know. Cara, do you have something on your end that's...
No.
Huh.
I was hearing an ambulance a little while ago, but there's nothing here. So,
well, it just stopped. It just stopped. I don't know what it was, but
yeah. Janice, do you have the feed up on your computer?
I have the feed up. Yes.
That might be the echo.
Oh, I have this. I have the sound off though.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think we're okay.
And Kate, I wanted to point out with these pieces in pewter, so for instance, the initial, just with one of the helicopter punches, you can add a second hole right underneath that, and then you can make that a dangle as well.
Right. Yeah, I was actually going to mention that, right? Because the pewter is a soft metal, not so soft that these pieces will bend as you wear them, but they are fairly malleable. So you could come into any of these if you do have like that twist down hole punch and add your holes wherever you might want to.
And you can actually screw through the rusted iron as well.
Can you?
The helicopter one, the heavy duty twist one, the smaller drill, not the larger one, but you can also go through rusted iron.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And this size of the jump ring that I used, that's the 7 millimeter for people who were asking about that. Let me see. I've got another couple of ones that I wanted to share. This bigger heart like this, I love kind of these bigger loops that it has. So you could put this through multiple strands of beadwork. I also have some, I'd have to trim this down, but you could use large cord like kimono cord, things like that. So that's kind of fun with these. And again, doing a little hole, if you have a hole punch, you could do some holes in the bottom for dangles. You have this horse one that's really cool that already has the dangles below. This would also make a great piece. And I know Janice is a big fan of designing this way, but if you have your piece here, and let me get a pen, and you could have a single strand of something coming through here, and then you could connect 3 strands that come around like this. So this could be your side, it could be your side focal, and then have your strands come up around. So it could be a single strand going into a 3-strand necklace. That would be fun for these types of pieces.
It's just a lovely piece. I mean, there's such movement in it. And even though, Kara, you're an accountant and a numbers person, I mean, you made these molds and these designs, and I just, when I think of your things, I think of you in a big barn. Everyone's got their cowboy boots on and they're line dancing and shoveling, the muck or whatever, and the hay and the horses and the cows.
Janet, you're more real about the shoveling the muck versus the dancing.
Well, I see. I have a whole visual about the light, the air, it's like out there in the West, the Rockies. You're in Colorado, right?
Yep, I'm in Colorado. I'm on the Front Range.
Yeah,
we're very fortunate. We're still in a little bit of the country that's left in Colorado, and then the city is, just not very far. So, but we definitely live the country lifestyle, and I think that has that's definitely been a big seat in a driver as far as designing. And I do have some really cool things kind of on the back burner. So when those come to fruition, I'm not done designing. I'm just taking a hiatus. I need to go play with numbers for a while, but you guys will definitely be the first ones to know.
Oh, well, we're real excited about it. That is one thing, and my mom, who's watching, and she'll laugh, she knows that in my life, I have never said, I'm going to go play with numbers. That has never been my strong suit. So I admire your prowess with all of that. Well, you can see I've just made a little color palette here. You guys can create and play, and I think that these pieces really inspire a lot of fun design work. It does for me. My mom, of course, is saying she loves this one with the horse, but she'd love it with a running dog. My mom and dad used to train guide dog puppies, so dogs are near and dear to our household for sure. Well, everyone has really, really enjoyed just seeing kind of this peek into your world. So thank you so much for allowing us just this. I have all these boxes in front of me. We've got them all ready to go and ready to fill your orders. Donna had a great comment, which was really nice. She said, to me, these pieces will elevate any project. They don't have that stamped look, which to me means kind of maybe hand wrought or whatever, or what I like to call the loving hands of home. They have a very, I think, professional finish. They're really, really beautiful. So I think everybody's really going to enjoy designing with all of these.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to put up real quick just some of the details about the trunk show so you guys know what's up. So today, if you're watching this live, it is Friday, April 9th. We have charms and pendants galore, and we have limited amounts of each item. So if you guys see it and you want it, grab it. The trunk show items are available right now on the 9th. Until Monday on 4/12/21 at midnight daylight savings time. So if we sell things out, and people, I know you're loving everything, so we have limited amounts. And I just wanted to mention that all of the trunk show items, you guys, are final sales. So, and any of your coupon codes or VIB codes, they can't be used on them. We have special pricing for this trunk show. So you're getting them at a really fantastic price. If you are using a code for other bead shop items that you put in your cart, it will work. The coupon code just won't be valid for these items that are under, they won't apply to any trunk show items that you have in your cart. So, but I do recommend shop early for best selection. We've got so many great items for you to choose from. And Cara, we hope that we'll be able to do this again sometime.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, and it'll be great to, hopefully Janice will be adding some of her great things to our lineup for sure.
Yeah. And Cara, you had said that after the show, we were going to look at maybe being able to replenish the ones that have already sold out before the end of the weekend. So if you see something that's sold out, check back in like a few hours, because we may be able to restock it before the end of the weekend.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Well, I think that will bring our show to a conclusion. So, Cara, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity with the trunk show. I love what you guys do. Your creativity is amazing, and your shop is incredible. Incredible.
Thank you. And
we're ready. I look at your inspiring pieces, and I always think about reaching out and saying to Janice, "Can you just make me one of those?" Because
sure, we can.
Yeah, of course. But
we're really ready to look at your pieces, and especially with seeing what sells this weekend, we'll have a really good idea what people our customers would like, and then we'll know what direction to go in. But I think it's really time we started carrying Lipstick Ranch charms and pendants and letters.
It'll be fun.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be fun to add those to our collection.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to take you guys out of the stream for just a second, but stay on so we can chat after the broadcast. So hang tight for me. And I will say a big thank you to all of you all for joining us today. It was great to have you. And do remember that you can find us on many different forms of social media. You can follow us at beadshop.com on our Instagram. Drea always likes to put in little teasers over there, so you can see some great stuff going on there. You can follow us on the Bead Shop. Join us on our Bead Table group. We have almost 6,000 members there, so it would be great to have you. lots of great ideas. One of our great design team members, Kim, just posted a really wonderful design in the files section of a bracelet that she's done. So if you're on the bead table, a member of the bead table, and you haven't checked out the files section, do so. There's so much info there that you can gain from. And then, of course, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, take that moment right now to like and subscribe us right at beadshop.com so you won't miss any of the content at all. And then, of course, we want to thank you for watching. You can find all of the information on the project and the products from today's broadcast right on our website at www.beadshop.com. Don't forget to sign up for that newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. I know for a fact that Janice is working on something as we speak that you are not going to want to miss. So make sure that you're signed up for that newsletter. So that does it for me, everybody. I will see you next week. We will have a fun Wednesday broadcast for Bead Shop Live. We're also going to take a little bit of a hiatus on our Friday shows. So this will be the last Free Tip Friday. Up until next month, the first Friday of the month, Janice and I will be back with Bead Doctor. So we're taking a few Fridays off to do a little bit of catch up here in the month of April. But again, watch those newsletters and you'll have our live streaming schedule there. So thanks, everybody. We really loved having you. We appreciate your support. That small business, this small woman-owned business could not survive without your likes, your shares, your purchases, and your patronage. So thank you ever so. And I will see you guys next Wednesday for another fun live broadcast. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great weekend.